Pashas Miketz, Tavshin Pei Vav. We're going to talk about the enigmatic. Not going to go into it a lot, but I'm going to touch it. This Chalom of Pharaoh that speaks to Yosef in a way that he announces him that the tikkun that he came to do there is done, and Pharaoh has no choice that handing him out Mitzrayim down below and Mitzrayim up there. Meaning, everything is going to belong to Yosef. The Yosef hu hashalit, hashalit with the he hayedia. Only on the throne Pharaoh remained above Yosef, just to look like this. But the true owner of Mitzrayim is Yosef. Now we're going to back up a little bit, and we see that this whole story started with two dreams of Yosef that he recounted to his brothers. He's going to make a mistake in prison after hearing two dreams. And it's not going to be time for him yet to be freed, though Pharaoh will have two dreams, and this is the siman that Yosef is going to freedom. Amazing. What's the connection between the first dream and the last dream, if there is any? Everything happens in the life of Yosef because of those dreams. And right after the dreams, he explains the dream of Pharaoh. Right away, up his niece is given to him to be married. He marries Osnas Bas Dina, which shares with him basically the same pedigree of Leah and Rachel. What do they come to do here? They should have come a little bit earlier. What's going on in this whole Chalom Pharaoh that we're going to see? I'm just going to show you a few, but the dikduk of the psukim, it's not one or two or three or five. It's every single word make no sense. Let's go into it. Vayhi, first word. No, Vehaya should be happy. Yosef is coming out of jail after 12 years. Miketz, at the end, Shenasaim, 2 years. Oh, no. Not 2 years. 12 years. And Shana is a year. Yamim are days. You can't say these two one after another. You either talking about years or you're talking about days. So where is the tragedy here that's going to happen that you start the Torah, the Parsha with Vayhi? Should have been Vehaya. Finally, Yosef, after 12 years of misery, 13 years, he's 30 years old when he stands before Pharaoh. He left his house. He was sold when he was 17. Finally, he sees the daylight. The pasuk is going to start with Vayhi. Uparoi Choilem. I want to ask you a question. Did Pharaoh have a dream between the time he took Yosef to leave the prison to the time he arrived, or he had a dream? We all know he had a dream. And all the sorcerers of Mitzrayim could not explain it. So why is it written here in present? He's not dreaming anymore. He had a dream. Vayachaloim Paro, exactly like Vayachaloim Yosef. No, he's talking about present, but he's not dreaming anymore. Well, it's present. Vehine oimed al hayor, again, present. The pasuk doesn't make mistakes like this. What is he telling us? Oh, when we talk about Parshas Bereshis, we call it V'nahar yoytze me'Eden. And there's a river coming out of Eden and split into 4. And one of them is the Nilus. So why do you call it Hayor? Call him the Nahar. And look at this. We call it the Nilus, right? Equals 156. Equals Yosef. All Mitzrayim lives off the Nilus. So why do you say Hayor? Tell me something like this so I can make a gematria and find out about Yosef, that Yosef is going to be Hu HaMashbir, Hu HaShali. He's the one who's going to own all Mitzrayim. Nope, doesn't tell us, but it's going to repeat. Vehine min Hayor. This is going to be said only. So there's some languages that are going to be repeated consistently, but only in a certain part of the dream. So when we talk about the good cows, oilois, it's going to be written always, even when he repeats the dream, without a vowel, no vowels. If you look afterward in the bad cows, always going to have a vowel. You look in the shibolim, boom, they have a vowel. What's going on here? Torah cannot be consistent. And now you look at the repetition of the dream, it's exactly like this. So the Torah is recounting the dream of Pharaoh. So now you understand why I asked the question at the beginning, how can he be present? It should have been past. A past tense here. We have 7. Why not 6? Why not 5? Why not 8? Oh, they were beautiful. And they were fat. I mean, these are not languages for cows. You can say brio is basar, but brio is, again, without vav. Yefos with the vav. Vatir eina ba'achu. And then they started pasturing in the pasture. Okay, that's the. But when Pharaoh is recounting, it say when even here, al sfasai oir. So they were ba'achu, or they were al sfasai oir. Where were they? And what do I care about these details? Do they have? Are they any there's any relevance to them? What do we care? The main criteria in the dream is there were 7 healthy cows and 7 bad cows, and the bad cows are gonna swallow the good cows. I get that, but what do we care where they stood afterward? Is there any meaning to it? Is that part of the character of the dream? Is there a message for Yosef here? Now he goes and repeat again. These cows were bad looking. Vedakois basa. Ra'ois amare vedakois habasa. And then Pharaoh woke up. Vayishan, he went to sleep. Vayachaloim shenis. Okay, I know he got up. So if he dreamt, you don't have to tell me it's a shenis here. What's going on? And then we have the second dream with the shibonim. What is the Torah? What is the message? What is Pharaoh choosing Yosef? Like, if he had no choice, if his life depended on it, if the life of his country depended on it. What's the story behind the story? It's very technical, but I'm going to try to make it. If I can't tell you this as a story, it'll be a lot easier. The Talmud of Dari HaKodesh, the Galia Raza, Rabbi Avram, explain us something. He says that whenever there is a Gibor, a tzaddik that's going to come to the world, right away, the dark side is getting into motion and goes before the Beis Din Shel Maila and say, I have a zivug, I have a shidduch for him. And he prepares a rotten woman that should work against him, to take him down and not let him accomplish, his mission. Because if he would accomplish his mission with his powers, he could destroy the other side. And he gives example that there were 7 Giborim that came out of Yaakov: Yehuda, Yosef, Dan, Moshe, Pinchas, Yehoshua, and David. All descendants of Yaakov Avinu. And for Yehuda, he prepared him Tamar. For Yosef, Eshes Potiphar. For Dan, which is Shimshon, Dalila. Moshe, Tzipora, the daughter of Yisroel, Kohen Midia. And so forth, and so forth, and so forth. Why? Because the dark side wants the woman to influence the husband, not to be mechaz v'sham, to be mekayim the Torah, to do what they want. So they're instead of weakening the Sitra Achra, they will strengthen Chalila the Sitra Achra. And the Psalm showed appeasement in a dream to Pharaoh. Don't worry, everything is taken care of. But Gabriel, which is the malach of the dream, came to Pharaoh and showed him warnings, very serious warnings, for him and for Mitzrayim. You have reached your limits. There's no more possibility to keep on. That's why the Midrash and the Zohar, when they speak, they try to explain the pasuk Vayhi Miketz, they come up with the pasuk. I'm going to show you. I didn't write it down, obviously. I'm very tired. Kate, Sam Lachoshech. There's an end, there's a limit to Choshech. Choshech, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a tzimtzum in order. That's why we say Yoitzer Oer. Yetzira is when HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates something from something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is entirely light, and so the light came from his light. But Choshech, there was no Choshech in the world. And you need a Bria, Boire Choshech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to minimize his light in order to make room for darkness. Otherwise, there would be no room. Okay, now. Ketzam LaChoshech. So 680 plus 156. Let me see 1 second here. I don't remember exactly the number. So 680 plus 156 plus 52 equals 888 equal Ben Peiras Yosef. Nobody understands this language when Yaakov blesses him, Ben Peiras Yosef, Ben Peiras Ale'ain. Ben Peiras Yosef is the midah of Yosef HaTzadik to be able to put an end to darkness. As we're going to go along in the shir, you're going to understand. He was thrown into a boir, into darkness. It's a fair question to ask. Yosef had the same power as Yehuda. When did he jump out? Yehuda was able to jump at 11 years old on top of walls surrounding cities and fight like a gibber. So why didn't Yosef jump out of the boir? Get out. You don't need to cry. You don't need to feel bad. You don't need. You're a gibber. Jump and get out. You're taken by Ishmaelim. A few Arabs. You can crack their heads like coconuts. You have the gvura, Yosef. Why don't you do it? Why don't you free yourself? You didn't want to do it in front of your brother. Maybe they'll kill you. So you didn't want to create a situation like this. Fine. I can buy that. But then with the Ishmaelim, there were not so many. You could have finished them up in a second. Why didn't you do so? And run back to Eretz Canaan? No, like a tutu, you're going down to Mitzrayim. Why? You're capable in both worlds, down below and up there. And that's the proof. You can put an end to any darkness. You take Peiras equals 680, Chaim. Life comes from Yosef. He's the one who channels the oil from up there all the way down here. So why not you do it? What stopped you from just not even run away from them? Fight them and walk back home. You don't have to to worry. No, Yosef doesn't do that. He goes to Mitzrayim. When something gets into darkness, you can't see it anymore. And Pharaoh says this to Yosef, or the Torah, when the first time he recounts the Chalom of Pharaoh, it says, Velo noida ki ba'u el kirbena. I mean, their physical appearance hasn't been changed by the fact that they swallowed the other cat. Okay, Gadia Raza, I can buy that. I can explain it that way. You know, I can understand that it's a mahalach here to explain the dream, but I have a problem. How do you explain the second dream? The Shibolim don't have a mouth. So what is that second dream that Pharaoh is having with the, I forgot the word, not the straws, the Shibolim? What is that dream meaning? Again, the Choshech against the Oir? No, this you explained already in the first one, and I can buy that. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. But from the second dream, I see, nah, it goes a lot deeper. There's something that we're missing here. So, in order to make it simple, I have to go back into the words. Even though I'm giving you ahead of time a lot, I'm going to give you a lot of the answers, but it's going to make it a lot easier to understand. Uparo Choilem, we asked the question, why is it present? He dreamt. Cholam. Vayachaloim Paro, like we said about Yosef. No. This tells us something else. This tells us who's behind all this. Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah. Now, if you look at the Midrash, so when I found this, I say, oh, something is cooking here that I don't know yet. Pharaoh, for these 2 years, Pharaoh was suffering terribly. What happened? He knew he was dreaming. That's one thing he remembered. He remembered he was standing on the Nile, but he couldn't remember the dream. And this was going on every night for 2 years. Who was behind this? The Imais. These 2 years that Yosef was jailed, extra 2 years, the Imais at the same time used it in order to take down. And the Sarah Mashkim did not want, absolutely not, reveal to Pharaoh about Yosef. But Pharaoh was suffering so much, he got into depression. And the Sarah Mashkim came with a cheshbon in his head. If Pharaoh dies, because he's suffering so much, there's nothing interesting him anymore, who said that the next Pharaoh will make me Sarah Mashkim? So he says, you know what? I better tell him about Yosef. And like this, I remain with my position. This Russia did it for himself and not for Yosef. And so why did Yosef followed like a sheep, when he had the power to free himself time after time? Why? Because the Midrash says actually that he davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that Yaakov got nisyonis, Avram got nisyonis, and he said to Hashem, and me not. Hashem said, Chayecha, on your life, that yours is going to be harder than theirs. And Yosef didn't see the daylight. It's not like them that they had. It was a very short time or during the day and at night. I don't know. Yosef was constantly 24/7. He didn't stop. There was no respite in this. And that's why. So Pharaoh came and was showing up to Yosef. When he told him about his dream, he thought, look, I was standing on the Oyer. Arurim, Rashi brings down that they stand on the God. But I'm explaining it differently here. Equals 430. Equals Avraham Yaakov. Yosef is going to have clues here that his suffering is over. His Nisayan is over. Now comes a new era. And that's the era to prepare Mitzrayim, as we're going to explain, for the Bnei Israel. Because look at this number, 430. The number of years the Bnei Israel were in Mitzrayim. And it's also Tzaddik Yesod Oilo. Pharaoh used the dream to show Yosef, don't you think that you're going to be over me? No, I'm going to rule over you. I was standing on the Nile, and the Nile was his God. But little did he know that Yosef was understanding exactly the opposite. Because you can ask yourself a question. Who asked Yosef to give advices to Pharaoh? Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants Mitzrayim to be punished and have 7 years of famine. So why, Yosef, are you giving a way out to Pharaoh? Why? Yosef is going to understand the dream in a complete opposite direction. Because here, Pharaoh called it high oil. As soon as he said he was talking about the oil, Yosef knew, Nilos, it's my midah. So the dream is for me, not a dream for Pharaoh. High oil equals 216 equals Gevura. He knew that Midas Adin was on Egypt. That's why consistently we're going to call it high oil, because it does not get, it cannot get anymore the chasadim, its sustenance from chasadim, the Mitzrim, only from the Gvura, a big punishment is coming. That's why Yosef understood this, which is correct like this. sorry, equals 5 times Elohim. That's why when Yosef speaks to Pharaoh, he only speaks to him through the Mida Elohim. Elohim Yaneh Shalom Pharaoh. Yosef understood here that the dream is telling him his future, and at the same time, which is tied to the one of Pharaoh, of the one of Mitzrayim. And a new mission is gonna start. The Zohar explains, takes from Esther, that when Esther came to become the queen of Paras, she was given 7 girls, Sheva Neores, 7 girls. Says the Zohar, the 7 cows refer to the 7 hechalos of Kedusha, the 7 chambers that are in the Malchus. These are called Sheva Paras. Interesting. On the other hand, you have the 7 bad cows. They refer to the 7 chambers, like in Gehinnom we have 7, and the last one is double. So the 7 chambers are the 7 bad cows. So at the beginning, Pharaoh was thinking that he understood that he's going to have someone from the Kedusha to come. He understood that something is cooking, and the Gvura he was not stupid. He's from the Das power. He was above Bila. To tell you that he knew that something not too good was happening, and but someone is going to come from that side, from the good side, from the side of the lie, and will help. And right away, when Yosef started talking, Pharaoh recognized from his language that he will know, and he is the person. From the very beginning, he knew it. But he never thought that he will have to hand out everything to that person. That person truly has to be above him, not under him. And that's why when he told him, Oymed alai oyer, he thought, I will control the tzaddik. Little did he know that he was over Kate's Sam Lachoshech. That was it. The darkness had lived long enough. He was finished for them. So why did Hashem make that Pharaoh would dream, remember the dream, and we would save that 2 years for Yosef HaTzadik instead of being in the pit for 2 extra years? The Ramaz, Moshe Zakuta, explain on the Zohar. You see, all of the Bnei Rachel, they had something which is shtika, quiet. Yosef never revealed that when he was arranging his hair, it was in order to stop the Nisayan. He never revealed his tzidkus to his brother, despite them attempting to kill him. But he made a mistake. Vaisaper es chaloimoy, he recounted his dream. Why would you do that, Yosef? Don't you know that the dream goes after, the Gemara says in Brachas, that goes after the explanation? And what did the brother say? Hamalach timlach aleinu, imashal timshal banu. The Gemara says it was delayed 22 years because of this sentence. Explain the Ramaz. When Yosef made that mistake, he created a B'gam in the Das. There was no continuation. Eile told us Yaakov, Yosef. Yaakov and Yosef have to be always at the same level in order for the world to stand on them. But once it's almost like Hashem punished him on this because it seemed that he wanted his brothers to suffer by knowing his dream. Otherwise, you don't say the rest. So why would you have said this part? And because Vaisaper Yosef, because he spoke, there was no more connection between the Das and the Yesod. That's why he went, and that's the hint that he went to Potiphera. I'll explain deeper in a second, but I'm just explaining the words first of the Ramaz. Because Potiphera was serious, was castrated, to show that Yosef affected the Yesod. He misspoke, and the Lashon is the Yesod of the mouth, aligned with the Milah, and therefore he affected the Yesod, his own Midah. He was just like Potiphar. He could not give any more light to the Malchus. The Malchus was on her own and lost. Exactly like who? Like Osnas. Because what Yosef suffered, we understand. We understand. We understand a little part. But what Osnas went through is dramatic. Why did this happen? How come the brothers? We're talking about Mechiras Yosef, about Yaakov sending out Osnas. That Malach Michael has to come down, carry her, fly with her, and bring her to the house of Potiphar. I understand part of the story because she could witness the tzidkus of Yosef, and like her mother, Leah, grandmother, who did not want to marry someone who was pagan in the Yesod, Esau, she saw that what a tzaddik, the Midrash brings down that he would never raise his eyes to look at his mistress, Yosef. And she told him, I'm going to poke your eyes. He says, you can go ahead. So she made a collar, a metal collar with spikes on there, so he shouldn't be able to bend his head down and not look at her. And he was still doing it and still closing his eyes. And these Osnas. But interestingly, the connection Yesod Malchus, when did the Chorban Beis Hamikdash happen? When Zion and Yerushalayim are no longer aligned. If Yerushalayim does not send oil to Zion, there's no more Zion. Zion goes away. Vatoimer Zion azavani Hashem. Zion said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu abandoned me. And who is the one that had mercy on Osnat when she was there? Yosef, she remembers Yosef from, she was very vague for her, but she remembered him. When did Osnas was sent away? When Vaisaper Yosef. What did he do so wrong? How can, and honestly, Yosef was able to hold his tongue even when his life was in danger. What happened there? Something has to be cooking there. Let's look into it. That's what the Ramaz says. Vaisaper Yosef. That was the chet. This equals 512. This equals Kaf Yerech Yaakov. Who did that? The Malach of Esau. He saw he couldn't reach the Tiferes. He couldn't touch Yaakov Avinu. Who did he touch? Yosef, the Yesod, which is right by the Yerech, right? Right there. If you write Esau in full, and that's the proof, Ayin, Shin, Vav. It's the Malach of Esau. Yosef was young, and he fell for it. But this happened, and this is the tikkun he went to do. That's the reason. Even though he could have freed himself 20 times, he did not. When Pharaoh is sent to call Yosef, it says Vayikra el Yosef. No. It can't be. Pharaoh, you're in your palace. You didn't call Yosef. You sent messengers to call Yosef. Likroi le Yosef. What is? The Zohar explains, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, Yosef, it's over. Now it's time. It's Malach Gavriel, to be honest. But the Zohar says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The time is over. It's time to get ready for a new law. Vairitzuhu mina boyer. They raised him from the pit. And when they raised him, it's written like this. And the Zohar gets on it right away. Vairitzuhu. I hope I write it. I don't have time to look into all the psukim, otherwise we will be here tomorrow night. Vairitzuhu. So the Zohar says, why is he missing a vav again here? I mean, this parsha, the vav, it's like the middle of Yosef. You see it everywhere. Because the Zohar says this could be translated in three manners. Vayirtsehu. And the three are true. This was the intention. And the third one is no. Okay, Vayratse. Okay, great. Let me just copy this one. Vairatseu mean he consoled him. You know, he spoke to him. He had difficulties. They were scared that he would not want to come to Pharaoh. So they went with divrei ritsui, soft language. So vairitsu, these are the three possibilities we have here. Vairitsu, they raised him. Vayertseu, and accepted him. You know, he was willing Pharaoh to listen to him. Vairaitsehu means spoke softly, told him, don't shock him, speak very softly so he doesn't lose his das. If we're taking the three of them, because the Zera say the three pshatim are in it, equals 982. Equals Ervas Haaretz with the Yud with its 10 midas. Because we say Kate Samla Choshech, he arrived to the end, means to the 10 midas. Who the midah, the 10th midah of the Choshech? It's the lily. That's what Dari HaKodesh says. So that's why the last one is the lily. On the other hand, we have Osnas Bas Dina on the side of the Kedusha. Here we have Das in full. Dalet, Ain, Saf. Right away, he got the message that the Das started working again. And that's one of the simanim. Another semen that he got as soon as he heard that the first one, the dream was about Paris, which equals 686, equals Or Hadas. That's it, started shining again. Now all of a sudden there's a Yesod. Now he's free from Potiphera. I told you I'd explain you the Potiphera. Potiphera equals 455. You know that number. The Shem is in the Yesod of the Bina, Kasa, Kamag, Kana. Kasa being Yosef with the Hey, Yehoisef. Because right away they changed his name when he came out. So he was there, and Potiphar showed that Venahar Yoitze Me'eden Lehashkoises Hagan. The mission of the Yesod is to pull the Shefa from the Bina and bring it to the Malchus. By being in Potiphar, he knew that he was paying for this mistake that he has spoken to his brothers. And because Potiphar was a clot in the tzinoy between the Bina and the Yisrael, and there was nothing to do, he had to wait, make his tikkunim, and then go along with that. But Yosef right away through this, that's why he was becoming more brazen and more comfortable, because that dream was about him, not solely about Pharaoh. if I may just here, open up a parenthesis and ask a simple question. I understand when HaKadosh Baruch Hu does this to a tzaddik, it's always, we call the midah noira alila. HaKadosh Baruch Hu find a pretense for the tzaddik to suffer, pretending that he made a chet and he made a this. But at the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it that way. For what? Says the Galia Raza. The Bnei Israel were coming. Pharaoh was very happy. They're going to eat from his bread. They're going to get shefa through the ministers of the nations. So he can go up and claim part of the Kedusha, whatever they grow, whatever happens, and get stronger. At that time, Mitzrayim was the laughing stock of all the nations. It was very weak until Yosef became king. Not vice king, king. The arrangement he had with Pharaoh is just for the facade, but he was the king. So Pharaoh had a cheshbon here, had to use Yosef to help him out of the hole he was in right now. But at the end of the day, take advantage and retake everything he gave him. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu did a whole mahalach here in order to bring Yosef to the situation where Pharaoh had to remit his tabas. His tabas was controlling all the upper echelons, I mean the spiritual echelons of Mitzrayim. And he had to give them, I forgot how much is tabato on top of my head, I can't remember. This week I'm really not myself, very weak. So tabato, if someone does it, maybe the number will remind me and I'll tell you what's behind this. So he had to give him his tabas. Why?
497.
497. Let me see if I have it here. It was important because it was
487. 487.
I don't know, Menachem. You counting? No, it's not 497. 487. Yeah, I got it. So I should have remembered by as soon as you said the number. It's the lily, which is 480, and the 7 hechalos, the 7 level of Gehinnom, the Sheba Paros, which is her realm. Yosef took it all down. This is why he's 10 times Chaim, because he beat the Choshech on its 10 levels. The only one ever in the world to be able to take darkness and put it on its knees is Yosef. That's why Yosef is going to be forever with us. In Moshe is a Gilgul of Yosef also, and so forth. Yosef is the one that showed us, because, okay, now we want to learn from Yosef. How do I learn? It's very simple. Osnas Basdina, the Das, as we explained it, 982, equals something that Yosef was doing all the time. Machshava, Dibur, Meiser. He always connected the three together. When you do something with the machshava, and you say before the mitzvah, Leshem Yichud Kudsha Berichu, you prepare for your mitzvah, you connecting the three, 982. At that point, the Cheshech has no shlita on a person like this. You disable all the powers of the other side by doing every mitzvah through three levels, machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. Osnas, which wanted to make sure that she had someone pure. You can ask yourself the question, what is Osnas? Osnas is really keneged the malchus. Osnas is 511 times 2, 1022. Ris kodesh. And before I leave this Indian, let me tell you that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the Bnei Israel to be exactly like Yosef. Because 982 Machshava Dibur Maise, call it Osnas Baspotifera, call it all the gematrias we have around this, equals the midas of Bnei Israel. By Shanim, Rachmanim, Goyim Lechasad. You cannot do, you want to do a Yichud Machshava Dibur Maise, you better be a Kli. What's the Kli? You have the midas of Bnei Israel. By Shanim, Rachmanim, Goyim Lechasad. You can do the Yichud. Someone else is going to try to do the Yichud, cannot do it. It's not going to work. I want to finish on a note to try to give you a little bit, through a puzzle, a little bit more depth, so we understand a little bit better, the Paris, the good one, the bad one, the side of good, we've been talking, the side of light, the side of darkness, and so forth. There's a very, very, very striking puzzle in Tehillim. You know that puzzle by heart. Everybody knows it by heart. It's called Rabbis, Rais, Tzaddik, Umikulam, Yatzilenu, Hashem. I'm just going to put the rabbis. Wow. Rabbis. Rabbis. Tzaddik. Oh, me. Okay. Rashi explains that many fears, many situations happen to a tzaddik that trouble him. And from all of them, but he has bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and from all of them, he's being saved. Great. Remember the words of Rashi. Fears, tough situations come to the tzaddik. I want to be looking at the grammar in this puzzle, because Rashi explained according to the Pshat. Rabbis, rise, many bad things. Tzaddik. Where is the verb? Rashi, you added a verb. Boys. So what did David HaMelech say? It's striking. Rabbis, rise, tzaddik. We're missing the verb. But here we have the verb. Umikulam yatzilenu Hashem. And from all Hashem will save him. But at the beginning, okay, a lot of bad, tzaddik. What is David HaMelech trying to teach us? We know that tzaddik equals 204. Equals 12 times Toiv, which is the Yesod, right? Toiv is in the Yesod. Now, we know that Hayor is a Gvura, and we said that it's going to come to punish Pharaoh. That's how it's written with it's written without a verb. Correct. Equal to 60. Equals to 60. Equals 12 times Eva. Ve'eva ashis beincha uven aisha. The klala. Whenever there is a tsar happening to Klal Yisrael, look at the Rashi Teves from Bais Rishon, Bais Sheni, Chet Etzadas. I gave a shir on this one time. All the time you're going to find the Rashi Teves in Eicha. How many psukim? Eva. To know where it's coming from the Nach. And that's how Pharaoh lived on. They always live on discord. When the good Shiboilim went up, they went up Bekane Echad in one stop. But the others, no, they all separated. They seem to be like the fingers of a hand tied up into a fist, and that's going to hurt. Lehakois be'egrof resha. That's what the pasuk says. When the Rasha wants to hate, he closed, all the other reshaim together, and they're becoming very strong. Doesn't last. Doesn't last. Because it's always an Eva. There's a discord among them, and it's gonna come out. What's rise? Equals 676. Equals Yud K Vav K times Yud K Vav K. How is it possible? How is it possible that we have a number like this? It's rise, it's bad things. So give me something bad. No. Yud Ke Vav Ke the Oyer. What's happening? If you take the letters rise and we're going to turn them, it's becoming Ervas. Ervas Haaretz. In other words, exactly what I told you before. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Noira Alila. Do you think that if Adam Arishon had not eaten the fruit, there would be no death? Death was created before the world. Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu was looking for a scapegoat to put on him so Yosef is only a scapegoat. But here, that's the only way, and Yosef understood it, that the only way to take down the Ervas Haaretz is through this. So he had a lot of rois. But why are these rois happening? For a purpose. Not just because HaKadosh Baruch Hu Chas v'Shalom doesn't like him. Because the Bnei Israel are coming. And they're not going to be able to withstand the power of Ervas Haaretz. So who had to do it? Yosef. That's why the Midrash says. They were zoiche to Geulas Mitzrayim earlier because they kept the Yesod. Because of whom? B'schus of whom? B'schus of Yosef. The whole Yetzias Mitzrayim, that's why they took with them at Atzmois Yosef. Don't read Atzmois, the bones. Atzmus Yosef. His very being. Because everything that was happening at that time, Yosef had prepared it. They did not eat the bread from the Mitzrayim. Yosef told them in explanation of the dream, it's not going to help. In the 7 good years, he gave a simon to Pharaoh. You're going to store food. All your food is going to rot. My food is going to remain good. So what did he do, Yosef? He acquired all the money and all the lands of Mitzrayim and Canaan, Chamer and Shoer. I don't want to go into it, give you another gematria here, but this also is in the dream. Yaakov Yosef equals 338. But one day down below together, up there, Yaakov Yosef is together. Yaakov Yosef twice, because can I get the Pharisee side on top and can I get Yaakov Yosef below 676? Ervas Haaretz. That's why Ele told us Yaakov Yosef in every mission, they're inseparable. They both feed of the koyach of each other. And with that only were they able to bring the Geula to the Bnei Israel and Mitzrayim. Just to finish the pasuk, because I tell you, I'm going to tell you on that pasuk everything. Umikulam yatzilenu Hashem. So Rabbi Israel is tzaddik. Now you understand what David HaMelech is trying to hit. Umikulam yatzilenu Hashem. And from all of them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save him. Okay, what's the news? He's a tzaddik. No, it's the Nachash that's behind him. Mikulam yatzilenu Hashem, 358. Nachash. The tzaddik is tamim, doesn't look at the Nachash, doesn't see. But the Nachash is behind him all the time. He's trying to find a moment where he can strike. And all these rois come from the Nachash. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking care of. That's umikulam yatzilenu Hashem. There's another level in this pasuk, but it's for another shir. It's enough. We understand a one-man show is going to create the Geula, and Pharaoh will have to admit, Ish asher ruach Eloikim bo. What means ruach Eloikim? Ruach Eloikim is in the second pasuk in Bereshis. V'ruach Elokim merachefes apnei hamayim. Right away, says the Midrash Rabbah there, V'ruach Elokim ruchoi shel Mashiach. What is Pharaoh saying here? You see this, Yosef? This is Mashiach ben Yosef. There's nothing we can do against him. He overpowers Mitzrayim. He told these people, just bow down to him, just let's be done. There is nothing to do against him. He is the Ish Asher Ruach Elokim. The Ruchoi Shel Mashiach of the Mashiach ben Yosef is in him. There's nothing. They're surrounded. Be'ez Hashem, we shall see the surrendering of all the darkness, the forces of darkness, which are seemingly, overpowering us these days. And Be'ez Hashem, see Yosef HaTzadik come appear to us and free us the same way he did for the Bnei Yisrael. In Mitzrayim, he shall do for us in Umois and take down Esau. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.